See if you can help me coordinate this. I think this would work. I want the Apaches to be spread out. What I'd like you to do, move a little faster at the beginning. You know, and pow. Pow. You guys ready? Action. As a young actor and a young man, I was involved in a lot of westerns. Some TV westerns like Gunsmoke and Bonanza, and some grown-up adult westerns like The Shootist. And then some sort of B-westerns along the way that I won't even mention. It was interesting to me as I was going along because I kept thinking I was going to be able to tap into this reservoir of experience. But in fact, these scenes and these situations were so different that I was kind of on my own. And gunshot! I was really depending on the research. That was kind of exciting. I really felt like every time we were presented with the opportunity of a kind of dealing with one of the conventions that would have been kind of familiar to me based on past movies, that the story, the characters, the situation was actually pushing us in another direction, often kind of more modern. The Missing was a really, kind of pleasant surprise because it's not something that we developed in-house here at Imagine, and that's usually the story of how I find projects, is they begin with ideas, and I'm aware of them or work on them, and they grow up into screenplays that compel everyone to move into production, But here was a kind of a real find.
My friend Sue Berger, who had worked for many years in publishing and had showed me the book The Last Ride and realized that it would make a terrific movie, then looked for the best screenwriter, and Ken was the first choice, and lucky for us, wanted to do it.
How this all got started for me was, I was on the set of Space Cowboys. I co-wrote the movie. Dan Ostroff, the producer of the movie and a great friend of mine, brought me the book, and we both were, thought it would make a great movie. And we optioned the rights to the book, and I wrote it very quickly.
Shortly after we submitted it, got this phone call from Steve Crystal, who's one of the executive producers, and said that he loved the script, Ron loved it. Steve said exactly what Ron and I love about it is it's not about cattle or land. So I put down the phone and said to Ken, perfect people, because that was what was in our minds from the beginning with it creatively.
I got a phone call one day. Somebody said, Ron Howard will be calling you in 10 minutes, which is, if you're a screenwriter, you have dreams of things like this happening.
When I read the Ken Kaufman draft of The Missing, I was so taken by the characters. It's very strong female characters. I've never really had a chance to do that in a film, and yet I live in a family with a wife and 3 daughters and 1 son. I got a lot of strong women around me, and I like the period of history that it deals with, but it deals with it in a very unconventional way. And I just thought this really might be it. But I really wondered what Brian would think, because he doesn't like westerns.
Well, when Ron gave me the script, I felt this was going to be singularly a western. I had a little bit of an allergy to that. But when I read it, I found that it wasn't really a western. I mean, it was western in that it had historic elements within it, but I found that it was a thriller set in the West. And so therefore, when I finished it, it felt more modern than a conventional period western.
He was really excited about it. He loved it. He felt it was so unexpected. That meant so much to me, because generally when the two of us line up on the same page behind a project, it generally yields something that we've been proud of. The development process is one that I really enjoy, even though there's a term, they call it development hell, for a reason, because it's really hard. In developing a story, there's a lot of bumping into walls. There's a lot of going down blind alleys. And creatively, it's frustrating in a lot of ways, but it's also really exhilarating when you improve something that you already believe in. And Ken did a lot of good rewrite work.
For me, it was sticking with what was really at the core of the novel, which was the spiritual and psychological journey that these characters go on, because they're very modern characters. I mean, you could set the story in the modern day and it would still be an interesting story.
And then Kiva Goldsman came in, particularly to work on the characters with a kind of a fresh perspective. So that's a fun process.
I've done my duty as a Christian. You get the hell off my ranch!
One of the things I like about The Missing is that it doesn't follow any rigid formulas. It's more a story of acceptance without total unconditional forgiveness. It's not necessarily simple, and it's not wrapped up in a neat little package.
Grandpa's gonna come live with us, and we're all gonna be a family.
but I think it's very relatable, and it's something that was really kind of at the center of the character side of this story, their journey.
Action!
And then there's this other storyline, which is tense, fast-moving, violent at times, exciting to watch in that way. But I think it's a really good marriage of these two plot lines. And that's one of the things as a storyteller that I really like, that it's, you know, when character scenes come along, it's not just, okay, well, let's stop now and listen to some soliloquies. So both the action and the emotional character scenes blend, I think, in a really, really good way. Do one more? Sure. Let's do one more.